When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger. Meaning, we actually ultimately and inevitably suffer from what we cannot deal with, what we cannot manage and rectify and reform within and about ourselves in our behavior, character, mindset, perception, and action. We obviously are going to experience the same kinds of suffering, failings, and mistakes that we refuse to acknowledge and overlook, ignore, and neglect in ourselves, in the other people, also in our surroundings, in the society. Because people are just not going to impose and inflict a lot of intentional and deliberate suffering, chaos, crisis, pain upon us if we are not at fault either, if we actually have not removed and dealt with our own chaos, sufferings, then we are going to suffer unnecessarily because of the others' projections upon us. So ultimately, we suffer from what we cannot deal with and remove and reform and come to terms with about and within ourselves makes us suffer, struggle from a lot of pain, tragedy, misery, chaos, tension in our lives that we think is caused and happened to us by the other people's behaviors, judgments, perceptions, when in reality we are also suffering because of ourselves partially and not wholly because of the others. Now, suffering coming from other people can be real because of our authenticity, character, originality. They may subject us to a lot of betrayal, rejection, suffering, and other infidelities, but ultimately it's our reception and perception of events and of what happens to us that determines, constitutes, combines either happiness, progress, growth, learning, composure, or guarantees our suffering, anxiety, misery, unhappiness all the time. So that's how this paradox works, not always in our favor, but in our understanding. So obviously, when we are able to recognize, identify, and study our failings, mistakes, tragedies, and our shortcomings, deficiencies, disadvantages that we have not been able to recognize and come to terms with, then we also realize that they can also have their own problems, complexities, chaos, misbehaviors, misconducts, because everyone has problems. Everyone has their own shadows and masks and personas that they carry around to basically maintain themselves in society and to operate seamlessly in external societal circumstances, realms, and spheres and premises. So that's how this paradox works, and we have to understand this, that we have our problems and they have theirs, and we don't suffer wholly because of the others, but also because of ourselves. So we are